What's going on, everybody? Nelly and Baxter's Pokemon is back with another deck profile for you. This deck is Alolan Ninetales. Now, I have built an Alolan Ninetales GX deck before, but this one has been modified. So I took what I had, made some changes so that it could be brought up to the standard format, because I believe the last one I had was still had VS Seekers and Lysanders in there. So that will be now considered expanded, right? Anyway, so like I said, Alolan Ninetales. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me just take... What I'll do for this profile is I'll just make the stacks of the different cards I have. And then we'll go through stack by stack. Alright. So we've got our Pokemon, we got our supporters, our items, our stadiums, and our energy. Okay, so again, we'll just go stack by stack and make it easy. So this version of my Alolan Ninetales deck, it runs 4 copies of Alolan Ninetales. The one from Guardians Rising, because of Beacon. Search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand, and then shuffle your deck afterwards. What's really cool about this, and I mentioned it in the other deck profile, is that you notice the energy cost is kind of blurred. That's because you do not need energy to actually use that attack. So very, very good. Helps you get your Ninetales out. Let me actually, hold on. Before I continue with this deck profile, let me apologize if you hear any idiots out there revving their motorcycle, or some numbskull like our next door neighbor thinks it's arts and crafts hour and wants to be banging out there with a hammer. So if you hear anything, just ignore that, all right? Anyway, so we've got our Alolan Vulpix here, and we're running 2 copies of the big Mama Ninetales GX with the Ice Blade attack for double colorless, 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Blizzard Edge, 2 waters, and a colorless does 160 damage, but you have to discard 2 energy. Then Ice Path, which is where you get to move the damage over to your opponent. So 4 copies of Alolan Vulpix, 2 copies of Alolan Ninetales, 2 copies of the baby Alolan Ninetales from Burning Shadows, simply for this, the Luminous Barrier. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon GX or EX. So that offers us a little barrier to continue building our bench. Also, even though it only hits for 80 with Aurora Beam, attach a choice when you're hitting for 110, you can actually 2-shot some GXs out there because they can't hit you on the rebound back. It has proven to be very frustrating for some decks I've faced that rely on GX Pokemon. Also, to start spreading our damage, we have Tapu Koko, the promo. DCE Flying Flip does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. While it would be great to knock out Pokemon with attacks, we're actually spreading damage. So Flying Flip with the 20 to each Pokemon. And then Alolan Ninetales GX's Ice Blade does 50 to your opponent. The reason why we want to scatter damage is so we can then Ultra Ball for Espeon EX, use Miraculous Shine to de-evolve the Pokemon. That way we're able to knock out the Pokemon underneath the evolved form. Let me give you an example. I'll just be honest. I built this deck specifically to take down Gardevoir GX, because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll rare candy from Ralt straight into the GX. If you're spreading that damage and then you use Miraculous Shine, you've knocked out the Ralts. Now they have a useless Gardevoir GX in their hand. So very, very frustrating for some opponents. And now, here are our tech cards. Excuse me. We're going to keep Manaphy EX. I know a lot of people have tried building this Alolan Ninetales and they've taken Manaphy out. I think that's silly, considering the ability, which is Aqua Tube. See, that's what I'm talking about with the motorcycle. That's our neighbor. Anyway, so Manaphy's Aqua Tube. Any Pokemon that has a water energy attached has a free retreat. This is built specifically for those annoying decks, like Glaceon EX and Jolteon EX, who like to play around with the attack where you can't hit them if you're an evolved or a basic Pokemon. This gives you the opportunity to switch your bench with your active. Oranguru for that bench draw support, Instruct, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, and 2 copies of Lele to help us get that N or that Sycamore when we need it. Alright, so there's our Pokemon lineup, guys. Let's move on to the supporters. How do we access all the goodies in this deck? Okay, so we'll move that stack up there. We'll go to the supporters. 2 copies of N. Each player shuffles his or her hand in his or her deck, and then draws the number of, draws a card for each of his or her remaining prize cards. You guys are pretty familiar with that one. We're also running Shauna. I was using Holler for a while, but the GX move, which we'll be using here, is probably going to be a late game GX, so we want to make sure we got at least some draw support more than 4 cards. So we got Shauna in there, even though it's only for 1 extra. You never know, it can still help. 2 copies of Sycamore in case you don't like our hand. Discard your hand and draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. 2 copies of Guzma, although I'm thinking of bumping it up to 3 simply because we have no way of getting Guzma back if we discard it. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. If you do, switch your own active. This is where Manaphy comes in really helpful because you can simply retreat for free and then get the Pokemon you want back into the active. And our last supporter is Acerola. Put one of your Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached into your hand. Very good for getting those Pokemon out of sticky situations where they're about to be knocked out. Also, if you have a Lele on the bench that's taking up space, you can use Acerola and get it out of there. On to our items. First of all, how do we get our energy out of our discard? Aqua Patch, because we're trying to attach energy to our water types. So simply attach a water energy from your discard to one of your benched water Pokemon. Nobody's running this. I don't understand why. Multi-switch tool. You can move an energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. Notice it says an energy, meaning it could be a basic, it could be a special energy. But this is coming very helpful for Pokemon that need an energy or 2 more. To attack, you can move it from your bench to the active. Also, if you need a hard retreat for some reason, you can move energy from the bench to your active and then hard retreat. Next up, to get our DCEs back, because we are running DCEs, 2 copies of Special Charge. Help get our Pokemon back, we have to discard it, 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Help us get our Ninetales out, our Manaphy's, our Cocos, 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Get rid of those pesky stadiums like Ether Paradise Conservation Area. We've got Field Blowers. 2 copies of Choice Band. This is more specifically to go onto our baby Alolan Ninetales, so we can hit for 110 instead of 80. And then 2 Float Stones. In the event we're not able to get Manaphy out there on the bench, we'll attach this to Pokemon like Oranguru or perhaps Tapu Lele, who might get stuck out there. Okay, so there are our items. So we'll go ahead and clean this stack up real fast. And we'll move on to the stadiums, because we have more ways of getting our Pokemon out. 2 copies of Brooklet Hill. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic water Pokemon or a basic fighting and put it onto their bench. Help us get our Manaphy's and our Vulpixies out. And last but not least, the energy. We're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 copies of basic water energy. And finally, 4 copies of DCEs. This is specifically for our Alolan Ninetales GX, because we're really just trying to use the first attack, as well as Tapu Koko for the flying flip. Alright, that is it. That is the new standard Alolan Ninetales deck I am running. I will probably take this down to Bro's Basement off of in Concord off of Clayton Road next week. Run this version against some people. You will see this in an upcoming Sunday Showdown. We got momentum to build, guys. We're able to redeem ourselves from our absolute utter destruction by Noivern, and we're able to come back with Volcanion. Let's see if we can continue our luck, our streak, with Alolan Ninetales GX with whichever deck Nanelli comes out of the cuts with. She's getting real good with building these decks, guys, so it's proven to be very, very interesting Sunday Showdowns. Anyway, if you liked this video, leave us a like, comment. Think about subscribing to our channel. We have lots of good stuff coming up, with Crimson Invasion coming out very soon here. Shining Legends should be right around the corner. If not, depends on when I put this video up. It might actually already be out by the time this video is up. Grab yourselves some Shining Legends stuff. There's good stuff in there. Check out our Elite Trainer Box opening for Shining Legends also. Managed to get some pretty sweet pulls. Thanks for hanging with me, guys. Have an awesome day.